Live from the apocalypse. How you doing, Babaluga? This is State of the Game. Um, my name is Dan O, and people love personal shit, man. I'm gonna give you a window into me, right? The first thing I did as an adult on my own was clean a toilet for 3 hours at 3 in the morning. I wasn't good at it, still not good at it, but I'm working on it. And so we are joined by an incredible collection of people, right? Uh, I all the way from South Africa, where it is very early in the morning. We have someone who is an incredible MC and talent. Uh, Someone who I am hoping will sign to Strange Famous at some point.
Me too.
Yes, and by the way, as a resident of South Africa, if you have anything you feel about South Africa that you've read in an article or seen in a movie, absolutely DM Ratman Gavin and just shoot that shot. And you're probably right. You're very smart. So shoot that shot. Thank you for being here, Gavin.
It's a pleasure. I'm happy to be here.
It's
Very
awesome.
happy.
Awesome. Glad to have you. And we're like, so the other key element to this, right, is, and I'm not fucking around here. I think TreDoes is an important voice in this generation of music. As an MC, as a critic, as someone who's able to live in the music, dig through it, and add perspective, right? Add perspective wherever he goes. And yeah, just be perceptive. Perceptive as fuck, right? TreDoes, thank you for being here.
What up?
Yep.
That was a crazy introduction.
That's what's in my mind. And with the star of this show, is someone who, those people in the movies who, like the bad guy in the movie, will be like, I studied you for 15 years, and this is my plan for revenge. This album, Detachment, Homie, and Only Detachment, is that plan. This is this is such a well worked out album that a prolific MC who we all respect was privately talking to me and said, fuck, man, this makes me think about what I could do differently. Because like the transitions are so good and so well worked out, and you can hear the time in this thing. And I was like, yeah. So I have taken Slumber Logic's Detachment, Homie, and Only Detachment everywhere I've fucking gone. When I went to Chicago, I was telling people to listen to it. When I went to family functions, I was telling people to listen to it. I rep. So this is our goal here, gents. And my co-host K Diggy, by the way, is massaging Tom Brady's ankles somewhere. He'll pop in. But our goal here is to concentrate the most nerdy energy possible on this album, which deserves it. Is to really get fucking deep in this thing. If that makes sense. Is everybody cool?
Yep.
All right. Let's do it. So let me start, Slumber, and get fucking nerdy right off the bat, right? Because the first song is about 3 songs long, right? Is that fair?
Yeah, that's fair.
So, and it is, what is it, 6 minutes? Did I fuck?
Yeah, it's like 6:30 or something.
Yeah, 6:20. So, and a Steppenwolf's Whirling Dervish, which is a great title because it is where you're hit with all these words and you're like, damn, I haven't thought about that word in years. Holy shit. Like it can be a lot to take in for the listener. And then midway through, is the first instance of something that happens throughout the album. I'm going to call it the Beethoven Effect. That's what I'm going to call it, because Beethoven used to make loud noises in his shit to wake the audience up because he hated watching him sleep. So that's kind of what you do throughout this album with the music. The music kind of drops out, and then it's the Babaluga call, right? And it's really jarring.
Yeah.
And it makes it so this isn't just going to be a stream of words. You're going to have to connect to this. You're going to have to connect and reconnect to this.
Yeah.
And recontextualize throughout this. So, and I mean, that runs all the way through the Ernest Hemingway gunshot. Like, there's all kinds of instances of this where it just kind of stops, drops out, becomes something else, where there's like 4 different beats in a beat.
Yeah. Yeah. Intentional, man. It's like, I've made beats for so long, and I've made so many beats and wrote so many songs that, like, I've realized that I can't put something out unless it really sounds like it was worked on a lot. And so this is my way of putting a bunch of, like, my overarching goal is to have a catalog at the end of all this, when I'm an old man, that I can listen to and be happy with. But I listen to tons of rap music, so it's gotta have some complexity. And so switching the beats up, like, I get bored with beats easily enough, and as a way to differentiate as well, because everybody makes beats now. The technology is available to everybody, and the know-how as well. And, like, I know, I love that and I support that. But there's a lot of similar sounding approaches, and so to switch it up with transitions, that's just one way that I can kind of try to do that for myself. But thanks for noticing, Dan.
Yeah, I mean, it's what I was thinking about today. Gavin, do you have any moment that you like throughout the album where it kind of just like shocks you out of your place and forces you to listen harder?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. Like that Babaluga call, it's kind of like, it almost feels like you've been like smacked by your unconscious, like, be like, hey man, yeah, like, let's like review this shit. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Wake the fuck up.
Yeah. I mean, so, and the music deals with that. The music deals with what the emotion of what the lyrics are dealing with, kind of at the same time. Right? Is there any instance sonically where you feel that movement?
It's track 1, obviously, because when I heard that for the first time, it's a while back now, but I was at work, and Slumber, he was telling me he was reworking the intro idea for the album, and he sent the track over. And at this point, I was pretty familiar with what Slumber did, but that track, because he was reworking the album, but that track let me know it was going to be some next level shit. Because I'm listening and I'm expecting another Slumber track, but then you get the phone call, you get like the random asides and stuff like that, and it really takes it up a notch. Because, like he mentioned, there's a lot of people who can make beats. Similarly, there's a lot of people who can rap. So it's a lot of people can make this kind of sounds kind of hokey, but a lot of people can make a rap song, but it's like stuff like that takes it up to the next notch. Like you can make a West Side Gun type song or a Griselda type song, and you bar out over a beat, it's looping, but shit like the first track, Steppenwolf, it just takes it to a whole nother level, and it immerses you in a way that not a lot of stuff does. Shit like Kendrick, shit like Woods, there's certain aspects of it that can absorb you into the music.
And Trey, if you would come for money, you could be one of those white dudes on Atlanta who like does ad libs and pays producers top whatever and just rents out the studio and just makes noises. That's make money that way too. But yeah, it's you're right. This is like the patient approach, you know. This is the patient approach of like, you know, just me and Kay have talked about this all the time, like archetypes, right? The ready to go MC. One of the ones I brought to the table was the sculptor, right? Who like spends their whole career getting like 15 to 20% better each album, and it totally does that. Like Ka's not reinventing himself every album because he's on a journey, right?
Yeah,
he's on a slow, patient journey. And that not everybody can do that. Not everybody wants to do that. So this album is absolutely, you know, the kind of player that is hard to draft, you know.
Yeah, well, yeah, I almost got rid of it several times.
Which is fucking crazy to me.
You saved this shit because, like, yeah, Steppenwolf wasn't meant for this album. It was meant for like I did that track and I like just got right into that track and spent about like at least a month just on the lyrics for that track and built the beat around it. And wanted to do a full allegory and have a conclusion and like have a full song track. Like I'm and I need more of those because that shit, like the best rap songwriting I've ever heard is like Dance with the Devil, Mortal Technique, No Regrets, Aesop. Mortal Technique has another one. It's slipping my mind. You Never Know. Oh, those are like that. If I could do something even like remotely close to something like that, that's like what I'm in this shit for.
Right.
So yeah. So but I was gonna build an album around that because I'd love to be able to do that too, and I have done that in the past, but things that I haven't really fleshed out enough to release. Right. But it was too daunting. It was like because I had just finished. I had read Steppenwolf a while back, Herman Hesse.
Yep.
But I had just finished Setri, Cormac McCarthy, and like that's some of the best prose I've ever like. It was just so inspiring. I just wanted to like grab the pen and get to work, and like so relatable for my life experience. And I was like, I want to do a rap album like Setri. But it was too daunting, and so I was able to sort of sneak it in on this in the first one, and I justified it for myself. I like all of this has to make sense to me at the end of the day, or else I can't pay the dollars to have it mixed and mastered. That's a big part of it, and then I also can't promote it and show people that I did it because I'm just like not proud of it, and I'm not meticulous, but I can't just put out anything yet. That might change, but I don't know. That's what I'm about.
Yeah, no, it takes a long time before you can feel comfortable changing your speed, you know. And so I totally understand that. It's my first reaction to the album, and you can't be mad at me because I just have a very selfish approach to features. I really do. Cool. So I went right to my part and made sure it was good, and I was so happy, and and I was so relieved. And then I listened to the album in full because my focus when I'm giving you any part, right, is I'm trying to make my shit legendary because I don't know what the rest of it's going to be like. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's hard to make a great album, you know? So if this is a losing team, I want to score 40 on the losing team. That's what I want to do.
Always, yeah.
So I was like, I'm trying to hit this out of the park, you know? Make this something that I'm proud of that I did for the rest of my life, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Whenever you pick up the pen, I mean, that's where I'm at. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like this needs to be something I'm always proud of. But then I listened to the whole thing. I was like, fuck, I'm on a great album. Holy shit. I'm on a great album. This is crazy. Like I didn't anticipate, could never have anticipated what you were able to do here. The depth of what you were able to do. And so I was just like, it was all bonus. I was like, I'm gonna seem way smarter than I am just because I'm on this. But I was with people playing this album and they were fishing for influences. They were like, man, this is like Ugly Duckling, or this is like whatever, you know? And I was like, that's like Aesop Rock. Like, this is Aesop. Like, this is definitely a world. This should be sent to Aesop with like a thank you. You know what I mean? Like, not that you're doing Aesop, but that I don't know that the audience would know how to deal with this without Aesop having existed.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's fair. Yeah. You know, it's like at first the Aesop sort of comparison was like the greatest compliment of all.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
it starts to get a bit more consistent. I'm like, I gotta switch some shit up, or like, what am I?
Well, I mean, one of the things that I said and made sure that they listened for was, look, this isn't one of these spoken word cats who just grabbed a beat. Like, listen to him rap, listen to him change up the cadences and the flows. This is a rap.
This is technically like it follows the technical side of things a fair bit, and like I don't know, like I used to listen to Aesop a lot.
Yep.
But now I listen to Woods a lot.
Fair. Yeah.
Like there's always that artist that and you know, big time respect to both of them.
Yep.
But yeah, the I I grew up on 90s rap, and all the people that I was associated with growing up, it was bars. It wasn't so much, and there wasn't like, you know, in the pockets of people that I ran with, it wasn't so much on the art rap side of things.
Right.
That was more kind of something I enjoyed on my own. But like you're right. Like there's large periods of time in the past where like I couldn't really. It takes serious balls, and it used to take serious balls to put out something like what he put out, because like 90% of the people wouldn't fully get it, and he had to like suffer that criticism and know that what he did was fire. But also know that, hey, I'm not just using big words to try to like make you think I'm smart. Every single line means something, and it means something to me. It changes meaning over time, like the interpretations. Like that's the goal.
I used to, so a confession. I wanted to make a confession here. I used to hate Aesop Rock so much. And so much. And I used to verbally defeat his fans quite easily.
Okay.
So here's what they'd be like, Aesop Rock is the dopest. And I'd be like, pick one Aesop Rock song and tell me what it's about. They'd get quiet. And I'd be like, exactly. Nobody knows the fuck this guy's talking about. Nobody knows what he's saying. This shit is so layered in this crazy shit. Like he can take that shit with him. I'm fine. I'll put on some 40, you know. So it was like I was just in a different place. But
Yeah.
Yeah, eventually, like Skeleton is what broke. Skeleton is undeniable. That's a fucking piece of work. And Impossible Kid is the most straightforward shit. I really started to see different sides of that. I am pro Aesop Rock.
Yeah.
But it took me a while because I was like, this is fancy gibberish, and fuck you guys for pretending you know what it means.
Yeah. Well, I struggled with what it meant for a long time too. Certain songs, yeah. And like, but it was still fire. Like it was still like, you know,
Yeah, exactly. Shit is fire.
Lupe. I saw Lupe sort of thread where you described it as like a Jackson Pollock versus
Mm.
the you know, the old masters, and it's like it's what you see in it. And like realistically, there aren't that many rappers. Well, if around the beginning there were less rappers that were really exploring the English language, like vocabulary side of things. So, and I mentioned this in the Caltrops thing, like Aesop Rock. If you're really trying to do something interesting, Aesop is The Simpsons. If you better make sure that you didn't do it already, and he probably did it better than you. So like,
yeah, no, it's. I mean, he's like, I don't know. Like, it reminds me of thinking about like Van Morrison or whatever in the '60s. Like, Van Morrison with like impressionistic, non-linear kind of lyrics that pulled together. Rap audiences were not always dialed into that, and they didn't know how to decode it. He took that hit, but yeah, I mean, Gavin, would you agree? This is my hypothesis: is that you can make millions with simple rap, but a lot of times your audience isn't a permanent audience. It's
definitely.
It'll go
like
to whatever is hot, you know?
Yeah, like with Slumber, and even with like Woods and Elucid and Aesop Rock. When I'm first listening to it, it's like the sound, the music itself that catches me, and I'm like, yo, this shit is fire. But I'm not immediately privy to what exactly is going on in the album. And that, like, for me, like, if I can enjoy the shit before I actually know what this guy's talking about, that's like a clear indication of this is going to be something I can replay, and I'm going to keep catching shit, and I'm going to find more. Like, and I mean, it's not even only in the lyrics that you get that. You find like you're hearing new sound, and it's like it just feels real full, like a full world.
Yeah. And Dan, you've mentioned this in the show before, but sometimes like you'll hear one of those you know, a verse from Woods, and like most of it'll fly over your head, but you'll catch hold of one line, and that one line you're thinking, this could not have been written by somebody who wasn't full on into this and fully invested and knows their shit, and it inform, like, you trust them after that line. You want to go back, and you want to look at that the whole verse, and you want to figure it out. Like, you need to. They're just writing a few steps ahead of the connections that you have to make before you get the full meaning. And like, I like doing that work.
Yep. And yeah, on episode 100, you're talking to like Bobby Noble, Squires, and all those guys, and we were like, the Bardo verse should be a movie. If you could make a movie out of Wood's verse on Bardo, that would be the one. To me, that's such a fucking incredible story. That Woods tells on that it's just fucking nuts. That's a bonus track that's on a Prem Rock album, and he spilled his guts
about like them going to
meeting at the diner with the ex and all
Five Guys.
Yeah.
Yo, at the show in Toronto, Prem did Bardo, and I was like, if Woods comes out during Bardo, and I was like to Rohan, I was like, Woods might come out during Bardo. He's like, nah, man, I've seen the show 5 times. He doesn't. I'm like,
Yeah.
Yep. Keep hope alive, man.
thanks, bro.
Keep hope alive,
I
man.
think that every time I see that, I'm like, the dopest transition would be Woods doing his verse and starting his set, and for some reason it never happens.
Oof. It's an incredible thing. But yeah, I mean it's and lyrically, so the end of a point, Gavin, is that if you do something important lyrically, you create a fan base for life. Like you create people that will follow you to the end, you know?
For
Like
sure.
me and my friends are still talking about ideas. You know what I mean? I'm still the biggest Currency fan. The people that I think have been important to me lyrically are people that I've
Shit,
always
this thing just froze for me.
stayed tapped in. Yeah.
Sorry, it just froze for like 2 seconds. But I caught what you said.
Yeah. So that's, I mean, that, and I think that's why it was important for Slumber to do it this way. You know,
Yeah, that's where the density, it's for me, it's not, it's not really for, I wanted to make music for other people and sound different, but this is for me, and it's to give it layers that sort of mean different shit over the years and that I can sit with and be proud of on a long-term basis. And but it took me a long time to figure out that that's the type of music that I needed to make in order to actually like hand in the assignment, finish it, and do everything that was required after the fact. Because like doing a whole album is like, it's a lot of work, man. Producing it, like,
absolutely. I mean, that's,
Yeah,
yeah.
crazy.
I mean,
that's where I needed you guys. Like I needed you guys to like, uh, tell me that this. It was like, tell me that it was okay. I just needed to know that it was like I needed to know that it wasn't shit.
yeah.
Yeah.
And
Was
but
I?
and anything more than that would have been like okay, like continue on and like, but tell me that I'm on the right track here,
Yep.
and like I can, because I can start again. I've got a lot of other material that I can put out, but like I'm gonna try to just get rid of this stuff because like I've had some of these beats since like before Trey was born.
So Trey, let me give you some stats. Okay. So this, what Slumber did is what I would call the kitchen sink approach, right? This album, Detachment, Homely, and Only Detachment, is 53 minutes long. Okay. Reasonable Doubt is 59, right? Like it's, and people are always like, man, like Illmatic's such a nice, tight, like shot group of songs. Why is Reasonable Doubt so long? Well, Jay had been floating around for like 6 years at that point. He was like 26. He didn't know if this shit was gonna work. He didn't know if it was gonna pop off at all. So Reasonable Doubt is meant to tell you everything. If I don't get a second shot, this is every fucking thing. And the kitchen sink approach leaves you like, you hit him with the haymaker. You gave it everything, dude.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's like.
Yep.
Go ahead, Sean.
So hearing this album. Oh shit! Your internet is. Am I good on mine?
Yeah, you're good.
Yeah, man.
Getting pop-ups and stuff. So like you said, that approach, taking your time. I got to experience a lot of that through Slumber as he showing me parts of the album and how they're coming along and how long he's been working on this stuff and the commitment that goes to it. Because I mentioned this before, but like I am, by all things considered, I am 1 year into doing this, rapping, anything like that. So I observed a lot of that by watching Slumber work on this, and even from the earliest versions of this album, I'm like, I told him, I'm like, this is great. A lot of these songs are great. You get glimpses of what makes the current version of this album great. And this is before Steppenwolf or before Steppenwolf had a few extra tracks, but I'm like, this is great. And I would be honored to release something like that. And then when he redid most of the album, added stuff like Steppenwolf, that's when it was kind of opened my eyes to how far you can go with fleshing out your work. So it goes back to that approach you were talking about.
Kitchen sink, absolutely. I mean, there was points where I was like, is Slumber going to be offended if I tell him that my favorite song is Red Riding Hood? Because
Good fucking
it,
song.
it's an instrumental song, but I fucking grew up with that with that song.
Yeah.
Like I was an oldies station kid. Like I was always listening to that fucking song. My dad loved that fucking song. And to have that flipped in such a hard ass way was just like, oh shit, you know?
Mm.
I still love that so much. So um producer Slumber stunts hard on this album. Um as does rapper Slumber. I still think the stuntiest stunt of the rapper Slumber is the beginning of your verse on the song that you all share. Um, the gun maintenance, bar into the gun sound. That was
Scatterbrand is Hemingway's last gun maintenance.
yeah,
Butterfingers.
Yeah, it's
yeah.
crazy.
That was awesome. But it was there's multiple Hemingway references in the album. This is a very literary album. This is an album about the writers that have inspired you.
Yeah.
Whether they be rappers, whether they be whoever. That's really cool.
Yeah. I don't know. Hemingway is an interesting guy. Like,
Yep.
so problematic and like such a dick. But um yeah, like I've taken a lot from kind of the stuff that he has said about writing, about his sort of like dedication and routine, things
Right.
of that nature, and then just to have a generation defining style that like disregards so much of what came before it. Like, yeah, that's
Yeah. I
that's
mean,
interesting to me. And
he's
then the controversy surrounding his suicide,
sure.
like
Yeah.
yeah, Hemingway and Salinger were their lives inspired this joint quite a bit.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, didn't Hemingway's father committed suicide and he wrote about it. Like there's or no, what was that? Yeah, he was a doctor, committed suicide, I think. And there's a Hemingway short story with him as a boy, his proxy character as a boy, and his dad, his proxy dad, going to a camp and to try and medically help someone, and they committed suicide. And he sees suicide for the first time, and it's these two characters that both commit suicide, dealing with suicide. Um, yeah, Hemingway's life is crazy, and it's problematic, and he's problematic. But that's why I think it should be studied even more.
Yeah,
I think people should know this is what patriarchy does to dudes. The patriarchy is
yeah,
not good for anybody, bro. It's just
yeah.
not good for everybody. So, yeah, it's these lives should be studied for real.
I gotta give a shout out to my high school writers craft teacher. Her name's Janet Somerville, and she wrote a book where she compiled Margaret Gellhorn's letters.
Yep.
And sorry, Martha Gellhorn, and like Martha was one of the first female, and at certain points only, probably not getting that fully correct, but war correspondent in World War II, and she's primarily known as Hemingway's second wife.
Oh wow.
But like she did so much incredible work, but still had to sort of live with that label. And then the marriage didn't work out, primarily shown through the letters because Hemingway was kind of forcing that patriarchy on. It was like, hey, I also want to go to be a war correspondent, and like, you should be at home type thing. And I
Yeah.
was like, that was the first sort of glimpse into like, oh, okay, well, here, we see the truth come out about this influential historical figure, and like, let me just look at a little bit more. Oh,
He's ugly. He's ugly.
oh no.
Yeah, he's ugly. Yeah, no, that's it's crazy. But yeah, it's a great study in how not to do things. Um man, The Dude Abides is such a good second song.
Mm.
That I think that's my favorite track on here. The it's a lot of it is for the chorus because I don't know. I feel like I spent a lot of time with that song working. It's a 'cause I talked about it with Slumber before. He felt it was cliche, but I felt like a lot of the subject. He initially thought it was cliche, but I feel like a lot of the subject matter in this album it really harps on your relationship with creating and how you push through that relationship. And I feel like that track is a testament to that, along with lines on Whirling Dervish. Uh, like here, he says, "This will be a task that will ask you to set aside your sentiments, though cemented in stress, progress over perfection." And
mm,
uh, and it, I don't know, Slumber speaks with an incredible amount of clarity on this album,
yes.
which is ironic because a lot of he's mentioned a lot of it deals with confusion, but some of these lines just ring so clear and with so much sense and clarity to them that like they really resonate, especially as someone who's not going to catch all the references. Uh, I my relationship with this album isn't as much through references, it's more through how I feel, how certain lines make me
Yep.
feel, and how like because he evokes a lot of different things on this album,
Yep.
especially
I
with
think
stuff
like
like that.
I think like sometimes like listening to someone work through confusion is just super relatable and it
Mhm.
sounds clear to you. It feels like, like you're like, oh shit, like me too, man.
I would I was thinking about this, Gavin. I was thinking about like, what if Slumber had asked me to write this Bandcamp description, and I thought to myself, I would have sent him 3 words, just in huge font. I would have just said, "Dealing with hostility."
Mm.
This album is about dealing with hostility, internal and external, right?
Mm.
The hostility you have within yourself, the hostility within the world. It's figuring out how to deal with it, you know. Um, and the cool thing about it, and I think this is a real lesson writers should learn, is you need to be able to scale up and scale down how you communicate, right?
Mm.
This is a criticism I never fucking forgot. I was in a writers group, and I really took a lot of time, man. When I went to writers groups, I was trying to kill people. Like I was giving you my 7th draft. Fuck that. It's double spaced. It's printed. I'm not fucking around. I didn't come here with notebook paper. Like, I was serious. So I handed in mine, and he was like, "Fuck." Like, the dude was like, "Fuck, man. Like, quit it." Like, at the end of every quote that a character says, you get these weird lyrical, like, he espoused as he's spun. He's like, "Just say he said and move the fuck on." You don't have
Right.
to
Yeah,
stunt on this shit every fucking time.
No, you shouldn't.
Sometimes
It's
you
like,
say he
people
said
gotta
and move
breathe.
on. And I never forgot that. I was like, that's fucking real. Like,
Yeah.
the reader doesn't need that shit at all. Like, that is how
yeah,
I
but
never give up outro. Is like, it is just good, simple communication with your audience. Of like, I'm scaling down. I'm looking you in the face. This is what you need, right?
Yep.
And
I
that
feel
shit
like
hits.
yeah, it does. I feel like that's real interesting because you have the Aesop comparison earlier, and a lot of his work can be the former of that, where you're doing a lot of scaling up, and some people make it work. Some people are easy can are easy to go with it, but then you have someone like Woods, and it's interesting to see a lot of people because I feel like backpack rap, a lot of it is known for being that scaled up communication where it's a lot of stuff that's going to go over your head, that's going to be super dense, that's going to be it's going to be wordy, it's going to be all that kind of stuff. But it's interesting the growing fascination with Woods and someone who's going to give it to you straight up, or someone he's going to phrase it so simply that he's going to phrase it so simply and it's going to hit just as hard.
Word. And I think about this a lot because it's those writers who, like, often you look at a writer that started out doing really crazy lyrical prose or like
Yep.
Aesop's earlier stuff. Now you're starting to see Aesop condense and be more um, concise, simpler, seemingly more straightforward. But I think that sort of training ground of where he was just, and these authors are just going crazy, and then like work out that muscle and then channel that into something concise and to the point. It carries all those years of, it carries all that work that they did previously,
Yeah.
if that makes sense.
Definitely.
Yeah. I mean, to get weird and nerdy about the writing stuff, like somebody like Aesop at his peak Bazooka Tooth kind of period is like Asimov or Tolkien. It's somebody with this like big universe that you're gonna have to figure out. Whereas Woods writes more like Jim Thompson or something, like a crime writer. He's because it's like a crime writer has to get you to know the character in one sentence and move the fuck on. They have they have a mystery to unravel. They have characters to place all over the board. It's concision is the name of the game. It's almost like jazz, right? Because it's a mystery or a murder or whatever. You've got to put your sauce on it.
Woods does this interesting thing. Sorry to interrupt, but I was listening to church yesterday, but he doesn't do it as much with sort of the complex word choices, but the way he flips sort of tense and perspective and plot arc.
Nope.
Like you think you know the song, but then he'll flip it to driving to save his, or to, rescue so and so. Like he does freaky stuff, but it's not in your face. It's if you're following along, it's with the plot arc and these different elements that are a little less obvious.
Yep. Yeah. No, yeah. Yeah. I mean, I was going to jump into some more of this album.
Let's just talk about Woods for the rest of the episode. Okay.
One of the ones that really has grown on me is Shit Happens. Shit Happens is really cool. I love how like the chorus disrupts the natural flow of alliterative delivery with like a Rock Marcy like use of negative space. In my mind, the Goodfellas reference kind of anchors the song in a weird way. Like it's a very intelligent reference in the sense that the whole point of the end of the movie Goodfellas is that like, oh man, I used to have all this power and now I'm nothing, right? But you get to come back and say, no, man, you still get to get out and get the papers. People don't get to fucking do that.
Yeah.
Like it's you in conversation with that primary theme from 1993. It's
and,
great.
and self-betrayal.
Yeah,
It's
yep,
sort of
yep.
betraying everything that you knew, like, and I guess the song's about, me at my day job and balancing day job with this rap shit,
Mm-hmm.
and they're, being dealing with the kind of previous line of thinking in rap that was like, if you have a day job, you're kind of a stooge.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Not that, well, I don't know, maybe that was more of a mainstream sort of, but it was like, when you discover that, like, this is your love and this is all you really want to do and all you really care about, um, the next logical thought is like, oh, well, this might be my career. What if I could make this in your career? But then you go further along and you realize, like, well, I'm not really making stuff for a mass audience, and
Right, right, right.
in order to do that, I would have to make certain compromises that I'm not willing to make. So balance this day job with this art, and like, yeah, that was me trying to sort that out. Like, I'm in a really happy place now
Mm-hmm.
when it comes to that. It's not perfect, nothing is, but like, sort of coming to the like, oh, okay, well, I'm not going to be a professional musician, and that's cool. But I still feel like how do I work out that part of me that feels betrayal, like that I've betrayed and I've given up? Because it's not really giving up. It's actually understanding a bit more of the terrain and myself. But yeah, that one, Sculpted Back, and Kahanamoku, and Love, or sorry, Riding Hood. Those were all done before actually Grayscale Oblivion.
Oh
So
wow.
my first album.
Yep.
So, and Sculpted Back was actually the first one that I did with my current, like, recording gear. I went a few years without having recording stuff. I was still writing, and I was making beats all the time, but like, I just wasn't really recording songs. But that one was like the first time sort of like stepping back into high quality studio gear. Um, but yeah, no, and so I guess another important thing is, like, this was all done, like, all the beats were done using software.
Yep.
Like, I was using Reason and Recycle, and so that has a certain sound to it. But Grayscale Oblivion was all MPC work, and that kind of determined the separation in the songs. And like, I started working on a few on Reason, started on MPC, a couple, and then I just started. I went more with the MPC beats, and I finished Grayscale. And I worked my ass off on that album as well. Um, and then I was like, oh, okay, well, I've got these leftover songs. What am I supposed to do with these? Just chuck them? I should try to figure out another album with them. And so the rest of the work was like filling in the gaps and trying to make it cohesive and have a concept and stick to it. Um, and now I'm in the process of doing that again with some scraps
Yeah. Yeah.
for my next joint. And I'm
Yeah, man.
thinking, like, how to fill this in.
You definitely have figured out a way to kind of patch things together to create a picture that's in a really cool way. Yeah, that was crazy. So we talked about Shit Happens. We talked about The Dude Abides. Like, transitions with albums are really important. Uh, Slumber, you knew you had one posse cut here that was really hitting.
Yeah.
When? How did you know you were going to put that second to last?
Good question. When did I know? Probably, well, it was like the last one for the album, and I decided kind of at the last minute. I'm like, oh shit, I need to get some features on this.
Right, right.
It's like you had mentioned someone to me, Dan, and I was like, yeah, maybe, but like I want to get the homies on it because like
Right.
I love working with Gavin and Trey.
Yep. Yep.
That's the most fun shit, and like we're always on the same page, and like I know they're gonna come, you know, and it I wanted them to have a stake in the game too.
Yeah.
Like,
No, I mean, Gavin comes in like a house of fire. I love Gavin.
always.
Thanks.
I can't stand
Thank you.
Gavin. No, because it was we've been working
Bodying
on stuff for a
people.
while. I didn't realize so the day the album came out, and I was looking at the cover and I'm playing it. And then I'm listening to Gavin's verse. I'm listening to the song title, and I'm like, he didn't see the cover before this. He didn't see the cover, and then he somehow tied everything in perfectly without. We only have the song title and the beat, and then he somehow fucking nails it perfectly.
What did you
And
say on
that's
that? That was tied to the title.
fuck.
I think I started with Sip of Ocean Water,
Yep.
Exasperated Thirst.
Oh my
Oh,
god.
It's
yeah,
fucking stupid.
yeah. You didn't see the title, but Gavin and I are working on something, and so often we'll just kind of think in the same way. I've noticed where like we don't really have to do a lot of talking, so we're already just naturally on the same page, and that's it.
Yeah. Funnily
thing.
enough, it seems to just like happen. Like we won't really plan like track concepts or even, like anything like that too deeply, and but the verses will end up kind of like tying into each other. Or
Right.
like we'll be on a similar enough page for it to be like, okay,
Yeah.
this works.
But
Yeah.
once we start like connecting, like we got to do more of these Zoom meetings so that we can see what it's
Yeah,
like
for sure.
to actually
Sure.
plan some stuff out and make some crazy conceptual stuff. But yeah,
I'm
Yeah, for sure. Because this
super
has pretty
excited.
much just been all going with the flow.
Yeah, I'm super excited to see what you and Gavin do because he posted the snippet. Uh, I don't remember what it was. I forgot what it was. It's on Slumber's page, I think, but it's the snippet of him and Gavin, and I go back to that shit regularly because both
or
the not even on some homie shit. I genuinely Slumber and Gavin are two of my favorite rappers.
Right.
So to hear shit from them and them working together and it just fits fucking perfectly, it sounds amazing.
man,
Yeah.
that song, that was the first song that we did. I think I'm thinking of the one. Oh, oh man, I'm
Yeah.
still trying to fill it in, but like, yeah.
The thing I love about Gavin, like obviously when you break down the verses, they're so fucking intelligent and cool, but the delivery is so brazen that it's
Yeah.
like, it's. I had a friend who like drank all day, like woke up at 6 a.m, drank all day, right, and got in fights all the time, and like would fearlessly get in fights, would like fight an army of people, with no compunction, and he wouldn't ask you for help. Like he was just like, I'll take care of this. um and that's the energy of Gavin's delivery, in for my ears.
Thanks.
Yeah.
That's a nice compliment.
Gavin, like he experiments with rhythms,
Yep.
first of all.
Yep.
Like he doesn't do what you necessarily expect, and like he's on a Def C level of versatility.
Oh, I like it. I like it.
And but the word choices and the sincerity too, like the heartfeltedness without like sincerity is funny, like you can say some heartfelt shit but not always pull it off because it takes that certain something. But Gavin always manages to pull it off. And
You have to say it. You have to say it in a way that really puts the audience where you are.
yeah, man, he's putting this like he's putting his heart into the delivery side of it, and some like areas where he's like, oh, you know what? I think I might just punch in here. And in the punch-ins, he comes super hard, like, and there's a switch there. You're like, ah, this is a force to be reckoned with right here.
Gavin has
Yeah,
a plan every time. Like
it's kind of like similar to what you said about making beats, where you get bored, just kind of doing the same shit. And there's so many. I mean, I listen to a lot of rap, and I love a lot of rap, but also get bored with a lot of rap that's pretty like good. You know what I mean? Like, there's nothing I can really critique about some of the shit that I would start to get bored of. So I get bored of my own shit as well when I start to rap in a very similar way. And just I guess the artist that
we having trouble with the.
Damn, they got my boy Gavin.
You got
listen to now. They do so much. Like, wow,
He's
bro.
back.
So that's like shit.
You're back. You're back.
But we
I don't know where I fell out there, but
you fell out. Yeah. Just that I know you were saying you get bored sometimes, and I think you were probably saying that the artist you admire the most switch it up. Is that?
Yeah, pretty much. That's the gist of it. Yeah.
Yeah. On which?
Yep, Gavin is, before I started rapping, before I knew how to rap, Gavin is literally who I wanted to sound like. I never heard of Gavin. Never heard of Gavin.
Damn.
I wasn't familiar with him, but the type of rapper that I wanted to be in my head was what Gavin is. That's why I'm a big ass Gavin fan, because I'm like, it's fucking incredible.
And
that is high praise.
And the thing about Trey is that Trey slides so easily. Like the flow there's such a glide to it and a grace that sometimes you miss how erudite what he's saying is, like how salient the observations are. And so I have to go back and listen to it a bunch of times and be like, man, that was fucking smart. Like because he slid so hard, I wasn't even catching.
Funnily enough, I have that same experience listening to my stuff sometimes. Like, as I'm writing, I'm like, yeah, this is that shit. I am fucking going crazy. And then after a while, after I spend a while recording it, making sure the flow is right, I'm like, I forgot I was fucking spitting on this.
Right. Yeah. It's amazing. And
there's rhyme schemes too, man. That you're like throwing these internal rhyme schemes where I'm like not expecting it. And like rhyme these inner couplets that just work so perfectly that sometimes I'm like, how did he know that was gonna work like that?
Yeah, no, it's fucking cool. And yeah, so that 3-man weave really works. You know, that Still Thirsty is fucking great.
Yeah,
and it's a real good moment.
To answer your question though, I figured out I wanted it at the end, around the end, because I was waiting for, whose verse was I waiting for? I was waiting for one.
I think it was me. I think Gavin said it first, right?
I don't remember, but like once I got that back, I was like, okay, like it's on, and
yeah. I'm actually not sure I heard your verses before I sent mine.
Yeah, it was Gavin.
No, you sent
I
early.
Can't remember.
You sent early, and I guess I was waiting for Trey. It wasn't, it wasn't a painful wait. It was just like I don't know. I had figured out I wanted it second last because I knew Come Down would be last. And
yeah, no, it's it's a heck of a song and an amazing thing. And I didn't realize it today. I'm like, holy shit, I'm the first performer on this album that is not Slumber.
You
hell
killed
of a way to come in as well.
That's fucking nuts. Like on Katamuku, like it's a great song without me. Like it's fucking awesome.
But The thing you add so much to the songs, it's honestly incredible. Even the early stages of like working you into music, the way between your great writing that you bring to like the interludes and talking parts and stuff, the way Slumber works you in is fucking it's genius like every single time, and I'm always blown away by it. Especially on I'm not gonna pronounce the first word, Spider Pig. Uh especially on that track. That's what I tweeted about. I'm like, you have to listen to what fucking Dan is saying on this, and the fucking beat in the backdrop. It's the most fucking. It sounds fucking incredible,
Yeah.
and then the way it just goes into the fucking track, it's insane.
No one makes me sound cooler than Slumber. It's fair to say. Uh, Ayahuasca Spider Pig with the way he works the album, the motherfucker, and like works that and drills it down. It's fucking great.
That was Leo, actually. Leo, made by Leo, man, who mixed and mastered the album. I did the mute, actually.
Yep.
But he did something in there. I think he did the I'm the motherfucker. I think he like pulled up
That's awesome.
the level and put the echo on it. And I was like, I encouraged him to get creative with it.
Yeah.
Because like I heard what he had done on Phil Vanguard's album, and I was like,
yeah,
yo, like,
yeah,
if
he
you
did a
can
great
pull off
job
some,
on both albums.
Props to Leo.
yeah, man, if you can pull off some like freaky stuff, it's like nowhere near the freakiness of Phil Vanguard's album, though.
Right.
Like in terms of the mixing and the mastering and the tricks and stuff, like that is,
Yeah.
ooh, but like this is, you know, that's the type of album that is. This is a bit
Yeah.
more meat and potatoes.
The mixing kind of serves its purpose perfectly in both albums.
Yeah, and that was a big thing. That was a big thing to work with a professional of that caliber and invest my time, because like once I'm done with the actual material, like really tired, like I just want to be done with this.
Yeah.
And like just put it out and like not put any effort into marketing it, or like, because I'm so done with it, I hate it. Like, I won't hear it anymore.
Yeah, no, but to be able to hand it off to a fresh, like a fresh genius, right? Someone who's like, has fresh legs, hasn't been in this race as long as you, but is also brilliant. Like to be able to hand that off like that is that's a hell of a thing, and that's you got to tell them invest in the mix, invest. In the mix.
Dog, that's like,
I mean, you can hear that shit. You can like, it just makes it so much more attractive. The album,
I wasn't sure
it just
though.
Sounds so good.
Yeah, no, it's like it was the best decision, and I'm not going to try to mix anything else myself unless I absolutely have to for financial reasons. But
and like you said, not having to like mix your own vocals. Right? Like I remember the last longer project I did where I was mixing my vocals, and by the time I dropped that shit, I was like, this album fucking sucks.
Yeah, man. You don't like it as much because you just like wear yourself into the ground with it. And like,
it's
only so often you can listen to your own voice.
Yeah, no, we like when I interviewed C Money Burns and we did the mid-year, he's like, I kind of like see the mathematics in music and I can pick it apart, the mathematics and stuff. And like, so I think people that are just like great mixing and mastering people they're almost like drummers in a band. They're just weird. They're just a little different. And their brains work like the stat stuff is not tedious to them. It's interesting. And like they drill into it deeper than a lot of people want to. So yes, invest in the mix is the lesson. I mean, obviously, I don't want to be an asshole and talk about my shit too long. But
we're here for it, man.
But Kanamuku, I'm very proud of, like what I was able to do with that. Partially because it wasn't pre-written. It was something that you reached out to me, said, "Hey, I got this thing. What do you think? Can you do something with it?" And when I wrote it, I'm just proud that it takes place in two different time frames. And like I was able to pull those time frames together for the lesson. Like
Yeah.
learn that was what was I was proud of that as a writer, to be able to kind of phase through time with that, and show love to my son and all that.
And
That
that was so key for me too, because this, I was doing this album while like finishing it up, while my son is a newborn,
yep.
and I didn't ask you for anything sort of related to fatherhood, but those were, those that what you're talking about there,
Yep.
very much what I was experiencing. Like, how excited do you need me to be?
Yeah. No, it's I tell people this, and this is for young people, it's a good thing to know. From the point where you announce to people that you're engaged,
Yeah.
that's when people want to quarterback your life. For like, they want to tell you how to handle your engagement. They want to tell you how to handle your wedding. They want to tell you how many kids you should have, all that
Yeah.
stuff. I had people looking at me like, when's the next one come?
Yeah.
And like, I don't you so you've had this slumber.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Can I tell you what I did to him? This is
Yes,
I
please.
created a response. I would look at them in the eye and I would say, whenever you tell me, give me the word. Email me, bro. I'll get at it.
Hit me up.
Hit me. You're the one.
I don't
You're
know.
the
I don't know you that
you're the
well, but
South.
here's my email.
Yeah, yeah. They did that was great. Flip it on it. But it's a whole industry of strange people who don't like you but want to see your baby pictures and all this stuff. It's crazy. So, and that was a real moment where I was sitting in the stands and thinking all the way back, like, fuck, I was fucking right, and so that was cool. Everything I write really comes from something that really happened. Like ayahuasca spider pig I was at some fancy dinner party with kind of like well-to-do New York kind of people. And there was one guy who was like, I have this book. And I think he impresses people by saying he's got a book that he hasn't put out. But to me, it's like saying someone kidnapped your child. Like, let's go save him. Like, I'm just like, well, no, this is terrible. You've got a book you haven't put out. What's the problem? Well, you haven't finished it. What's wrong? And I drilled him on it, and I was like, no, you got to finish, bro. You got to get the shit out. And like, I do that to anybody in that state. Like, you got to don't let this thing sit on your back.
Yeah, that was a huge thing I was dealing with this. Just like, get it out, but when and how? I'm like, oh, I gotta do this, and it's like, but you gotta hand it in, or else it doesn't count. And like, yeah. So,
well, yeah, you have to be able to define what progress is for yourself in a reasonable way, so that you don't hate yourself all the time.
Yeah, and like treating it as an experiment helps with that. Being like, all right, I'm gonna see this through from the whole way. I'm gonna like, at the end, I'm gonna have it mixed and mastered. I'm gonna do the whole promotion dance, and like, I'm gonna see how I feel about that. And like, yeah, I'm still kind of working it out, but I'm gonna do it again, because like, reception is very, it's interesting.
Yeah,
Very nice.
And I still go through this mindfuck stuff because my two pieces on your album prove that I'm not dead, right? Because I'll tell my wife all the time, I'm like, I'm not a real writer, bro. Like, I'm out here. And she's like, you write every week. I'm like, yeah, but I write about other people's shit. It's not art. Like, it doesn't count. It only counts if it's really your fucking art, and so doing this with you like puts that demon back on the shelf a little bit, like you're still artist out here working, because this whole Free Music Empire shit was a side gig, like, that I did while I was doing my other shit. So yeah.
Well, like, I wanted that for you.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to hear your voice on a record, because the shit that you were giving to the RMPP Discord, I was like, oh, this is like, how is this man not on all the indie rap records?
Right.
Just like your take is so interesting, it's so unexpected, it's so articulate.
And you gotta be good at that shit for it to work, because that's if you like throwing some random dude trying to like come up with shit, and it could so easily just come across as corny and like just take away from the whole song. Just like you really gotta nail that shit, and you nailed it.
Thank you, man. That's awesome. It was really fun to do, and those two pieces are two very different pieces that mean two very different things, and that really I didn't even think about how much they linked with your life until this week. Like I was just like, holy shit, the ayahuasca spider pig, like dead artists, like dead work in the dungeon, like that was probably a nightmare in the back of his head, like it is for all of us. Like and because he took so much time with this, like I hadn't really connected all that until today. It was just this week. It was really wild to have that. Man, this all makes sense.
Yeah. That was, and that was one that you left in the Discord too.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
I was like, yoink.
Yeah, no, there's just like we talked about this in another episode, but like textural domino effect of like artists working together who love the same textures, right? And they fire off each other, and it creates a domino effect. And you create a great piece of work, and then you can't even explain why it came about. You were just working with people all have the same textural vision, and it snowballed into something amazing. So I think that is part of the story here, with let me see here, bars. We got to transition into bars, man. Hit me with some of the favorite bars. We talked a little bit about Hemingway's Last Gun Maintenance. Oh man, White Lies, Wither, and the Memos to Self. Tardigrade's Finnegan's Wake. Oof.
I have to use the facilities here. But I'll be right back, all right?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right.
Okay, thanks.
Hit me.
Man, this album is so fucking bad. I hate this album.
Yo, fuck Slumber.
Fuck that shit, bro. Yeah, man.
I need to ask Slumber what Alibis is about when he comes back.
Well, no, while Slumber's gone, can we talk about which song you would put Coil Ray on of this album? Which song would you put Coil Ray on?
Red Riding Hood.
Oh, that's a good pick. That's a good pick. I was gonna go the Headless Way. I think that'd be fun. But yeah.
Man, Slumber really kills it with some of the hooks on this album as well.
Man, yeah, I was thinking that earlier, because he also mentioned how this was him trying to employ more song structure and hooks and stuff, and it sounds like he is fucking. It sounds like he's a professional at this shit. Like the way like shit will go into a bridge, go into the fucking hook, or the way how some hooks will be fucking wordy, and then some hooks it's just fucking 4 words, and you're like, wow, that's the hook, and it hits every single fucking time.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah, no, that's why I pointed that out so early when other people were listening to it. Was like, this is somebody who loves flows like he loves great writing. You know what I mean? Like he loves people with unique flows, and you can hear, in my mind, you can hear Rock Marciano moments of negative space use. You can hear, the Woods, stamp downs, and you can hear all these different influences, and you can hear just someone who loves the shit.
Yeah,
that's
every part of it.
Yeah,
especially one of my favorite hook moments is Due to Buds, and he's just repeating, "Don't you ever give up, don't you ever give in." But he's layering stuff over it. It's like patience, breathe, dance, float, and that shit. It builds and builds, and then it just fucking it explodes, and then it's it's just good music, you know. It's just good music to fucking
Yeah.
listen to. And
That
I appreciate when indie rap is it's less niche and it's just good music. It's just straight up good music.
It's
oh
difficult to make shit like that, man.
by the way, I took notes for each song as a hoot, and my note for Gavin's verse is all caps, and it's "Mama, who was that man?"
What?
Little Mark Jackson energy. Mama, who was that man?
Rap man, Gav man himself.
Yeah, dude. But yeah,
Yeah.
rap lyrics. We can talk about it. I told you all. Um, oh man, there's another one. More not an open book, more an open pit. Oh, sculpted back. Damn,
Mm.
good. Uh, the one, the one that I think is the the bar of the album that defines the album in my mind is on. It is it? Oh, it's in my many matrimonial disputes with balance.
Ooh. Father and Galaxies, the Stylus and the Calyx. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It,
man. That
yeah.
song's about journaling.
It's yeah, I think that's the whole thing for me. Like the actual to that you're just like disputes. Yeah, the tardigrades, Finnegan's Wake. That's in track 8. Um, just that succinct description of like trying to find balance. Matrimonial disputes. We're married, but we're gonna fight all the time, right? That's the cool thing about being married. There's nobody you love more, but there's nobody you dislike more as well. It's just there's no one you've ever disliked more than the person you married because everything's intensified, right?
Yeah.
That is that relationship with balance makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
This right.
I think
Okay.
the lines that are the pinnacle of this album is Slumber's last lines on Still Thirsty, where he says, I've hurt a lot of people by forgetting to breathe, shirk
Oh
responsibility for
shit.
what I'm too scattered to treat. Rather than shackle identity, the addled debris goes fall, rise, get back on the saddle, repeat.
Damn.
That shit hits every single fucking time.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
the way he comes in with that. I've heard a lot of people by forgetting to breathe.
Yeah.
Mm.
Fuck.
Yeah.
And then at the end, can I live?
Right.
It
Right.
just
Mm.
It's yeah. That when that lens turns outside and critiques the world, it's heavy. It's intense. It's awesome. Yeah. So pleased to be on an album of this caliber. Um, yeah.
yeah. What I felt what you said a lot earlier where you said I'm on a great fucking album because I put this album on like I said before I put this album on just because I fucking love the album and then I'll play this and then Still Thirsty comes on and I'm like this is the beat I wrote on I'm on this fucking album and it will never not be jarring.
Yeah. It's never not
Right.
just the other thing that I think there was a term that I coined um while doing notes on this album that I started calling chamber singer bap. Uh like there's a like come down is the example, one of the examples, but like the kind of chamber singer samples and then this heavy drum shit comes behind it
Yeah.
and you're just like, man, this is chamber singer bap. This is like fucking crazy.
Yep.
It's cool.
Yeah. It was meant
Come
to.
down.
I was gonna try to keep it to that concept instrumentally to have it like with classical and sort of
Yep.
choral music elements, but I kind of strayed a bit from that, but that was the original intention. I couldn't stick
Yep.
to it fully, but yeah.
Yep.
It's
Come Down is such a great closer because
yep.
it just you gotta appreciate a closer that really it feels like it wraps things up for you,
Mm-hmm.
especially after something as like discombobulating as some of the stuff Summer's rapping about on here. All that just melts away when the beat to come down comes in, and then the
I
Mm,
mean,
hook
just
is
when
just
he's
so
telling you to
simple.
like come down, it's like
Yeah, it
literally
just
feels
like
like
Yeah.
yeah,
the end of a high intensity trip or like experience or like, you know,
it's like you're not
not
sitting
to
with
talk
the
about drugs or anything, but
yeah.
yeah.
It's like
you know what
because
I'm
you're
like,
not.
it's like,
There's
I
a lot
agree.
of stress in the some parts. There's a lot of stress, especially something as tense as Still Thirsty, and
Yeah.
then to be washed of that is such a good feeling with
Yeah.
at the end of the album.
Yeah. It
That-
was necessary to literally to calm down and like
Hmm.
have some serenity because like I wrote that at my wife has family sort of family connection, family friends, and they let us use their it's their cottage that's on this very quiet lake in the middle of um, nowhere, Ontario. Um, and I was just driving away from the city and just like, that's been like the key to all of this. It's been to like get out of the city and spend some time in nature and have some, you know, I do literally forget to breathe. Like
Yeah.
as we do in our anxiety, where like you're just like shallow breaths, but I also have sleep apnea, central sleep apnea.
Yep.
So like in my sleep, I'll just stop breathing and
Oh,
like big deep breaths and stuff.
mhm.
And but yeah, the key like that's been so key to my survival is like getting out of the kerfuffle of Toronto. Much love to Toronto, of course, but
mhm. No,
cities, man.
the I got to read the full note on that song. Come down. Chamber singer Bap is back. A great song about finding peace in a world doing its best to damage your peace. I understand the chamber singers now. They are supposed to be calming. It builds up and breaks down.
Word.
So that's dope.
Yeah.
Mm.
The chamber singers are part of the like, yeah, like you said, it's almost meditative built into the beat. You know?
Yeah. Well, I heard that, and it was like it was profound the chord progression that they're hitting, and like yeah, just and that's kind of how I felt in writing that. It was really early in the morning, just looking at the lake and being like, God damn, this is peaceful. It's like an intensely peaceful moment,
Yeah.
and that's kind of that happiness that beat evoked in me.
This has been so awesome. We have Toronto, Georgia, South Africa, all coming together for the love of this hip hop. It's beautiful.
Mhm.
Yep.
And Maine, of course. I was, if everybody's cool with it, going to transition into recommendation corner. We can get our recommendations off. But Trey has something. What do you need? Let's go.
It's probably going backwards since we just talked about the last track and how
Do it.
relieving it is.
Do it.
But one of the most overlooked tracks, probably for a good reason, but this is probably like the fucking darkest track on this album is Alibis.
Mm.
But the writing on that track is so fucking incredible. I I couldn't pin down what a lot of it is dealing with medication, mental illness, sedation, stuff like that. Some parts of it kind of strike me as talking about dementia in a way.
Mm,
There was, let me see which one is it.
yeah.
Flashbacks, swivel head, numb stage, PTSD. What you mean past the peace? We got faces to eat, dreams to rape, rage to feel, fear to nurture and breed. That kind, that kind of it tied in because I was thinking of my homie. It's kind of got popular at this point, but it's his album documenting dementia, and the
Mhm.
music kind of just gets more and more disturbed as it goes on. And that struck me as really vivid in the same way some of the music on that album does. But
Mm.
a lot of it, I feel like it articulates a lot of the struggle dealing with just being in your own head. I
Yeah.
feel like it documents it really well with a lot of the lines. There's a lot of standout lines on that hit.
Mm. Thanks, man. Yeah, that one's really important. And yeah, the sort of the quip or the quote that you read, that's in reference to like my neurons doing all that, and sort of like
Mm-hmm.
it's kind of a response to early trauma.
Mm-hmm.
Your shit's just not working kind of the way that
Mm.
it's supposed to. But yeah, I was able to tie in kind of that and transition to how that kind of like just how that can lead to substance abuse, just at least for myself. It was kind of a way of just like fleshing it out in song level, but also like that aspect of substance abuse, of chasing something that you have an idea of perfection but you can't just quite reach it, and how that is just so, that's exactly what art is. Like you have this idea, and it was a Cormac McCarthy quote that from Sample Snitching, but where he said that in that song. But just drawing that duality, and also I was trying to deal with like um, really, I was like, what the fuck am I supposed to do with this song and this album?
Right.
Like,
Where does this go? Yeah.
where am I going with this? And
Yeah.
like, where am I going with my life?
Right. And it is like my notes say spooky as shit on that song.
Yeah,
I think that is the darkest time, and that is without that song, Come Down doesn't hit as hard.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, fair enough. Yeah, I needed to take it all the way there, and like
Yeah.
talking about kind of parental stuff as well.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't really gone that personal before, and I was kind of iffy about it, but it's like, yeah, it's the truth.
And it's it's an important part of the journey, you know.
Yeah,
And so the arc of the album can feel like the arc of what you went through, you know,
yeah.
emotion. So yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. The Gavin, do you have anything else that we should bring in before we go to recommendation corner? Or are we cool?
No, I'm good. I'm good. It's like
Let's do
25
it.
to 5 in the morning, so I'm not
Gavin,
gonna
you're the
have any
man.
smart thoughts right now.
Thank you so much, man.
It's
It's
amazing
all
you've
good,
been
man.
thinking. The I wanted to shout out because like I said, I listen to a lot of Spanish language music, just like, and recently one of the things I've been enjoying is like Latin, like psychedelic rock music.
Mm,
So like there's like people think of like Santana, but there's a whole genre of this. Like Santana's brother had a great band that did that kind of stuff. Like there's all kinds of different groups, and one of them it's on Bandcamp. The album's called Pan, and the group is Grupo Pan, GRUPO PAN, 2 words, and 12 tracks, and it's fucking awesome. It's really cool 70s like Latin rock music. And I was from Venezuela. This group is from Venezuela. Um, oh yeah. There's one writer, I guess, who said this is the album Led Zeppelin would have made had they formed in Caracas. So, and it was funny.
yeah.
I was talking to my son. My son's like, rock and roll is boring. Everyone talks about how great it is. It's fucking boring, you know. He didn't say fucking, but you know whatever. He's trying to get me to swear less. You know, it is what it is. But I put this album on for him to be like, that's the boring rock and roll that these dudes know. That's why you're bored with it. They're playing the same 5 Journey songs around you. You're like, there's lots of different shit, and this stuff sounds so different because the context these people grew up in is different. The instruments they use are different. I was trying to get them to understand like a band is a conversation of instruments, and like the conversation's always going to be different. And that's what's cool about it. So We'll see. I might not get him to care about it, but oh well. The obviously people should buy Permanently Blackface, the first expression by Luca. If you follow me, you know that you should just be buying Luca. And Jaguar 2 by Victoria Monet is what I was going to shout out. On the R&B tip, Jaguar 2, Victoria Monet, smooth, dope, polished R&B. I really enjoy it. Yeah, it's some R&B type R&B. It's not part R&B, part something else. By the way, very few albums that you'll see today feature Lucky Day, Buju Banton, Earth, Wind, and Fire. It's a wild ride. So I would say go grab that or listen to that. It's on streaming. It's really smooth. Gavin, give me something. Give me recommendations. What do you listen
to? Let me think. Okay. I think, I'm sure you've spoken about this album before, but everybody in the world should go listen to that new Unsung album. That shit is amazing. What's it called? Hand painted model trains.
Yeah, that shit is amazing. Having him on the show?
I really should.
You should have him and Chaz somehow.
Yeah, dude. That would be awesome.
That shit is a masterclass in writing. And the production is amazing throughout as well. But Unsung is just a brilliant writer. And you can tell he thinks intensely about every single line that's going into that project.
Yeah.
It really hits. It hits you in the chest. It's amazing.
One of the things I said, and I'm interested to hear if you agree, Gavin, I think Hand Painted Model Trains is very much in conversation with Teddy Brown, the last Teddy Faley album.
Yeah.
In a way that I always had this theory that the only MC in the world that Rock Marciano competes with is Ka, and vice versa. That they're friends, they respect each other. They're the only ones they really fucking care about besting. And I think in a similar but different way, Unsung leveled up because his friend leveled up. It's just being inspired by how good your friends are, right? I just think that is the relationship. And so sometimes I listen to those albums together because I just really
you must have a strong chest because that shit is sad.
Make for a dark day, Dan.
Sad, dog. Yeah. But it's beautiful the connection those
it's
make.
It's amazing.
And
Both those albums are amazing.
Unsung's an incredible podcast host. It was so fun being on his podcast and being able to really, heavily discuss one of clearly the weirdest dream I've ever had, where I was a goon and killed a superhero. But you tune into that one, find Unseen Underground and check out that episode. It's fun.
I've heard it. It rules.
He's a great dude.
Unsung is super funny.
So
and Sup Bub is one
that shit is.
I keep coming back to. And I don't do this with many albums, but I feel like I'll be listening to Sup Bub for a lot of years and getting a lot of laughs and mileage out of this. It's just so brilliant, and that's his superpower, man. Being able to weave in subplots and skits and commercials, different characters, it's incredible. I want to try to do some more, something kind of like that, but he's done it.
He's done it. He's cracked it. And I think he's talked about how Teddy's told him, give yourself permission to be funny. You're funny. Just do it, and that's hard to do in and of itself. So the growth is really apparent. Shout out to Blockhead calling him a dime store slug. I kind of want to give Blockhead all of our new work to insult. He's really good at it.
Now that'd be incredible.
Yep. But that's a great one. Trey, what do you have for recommendations?
It's my background. Been talking about it on Twitter. We got Monzi and Dylan. That I actually think I recommended Monzi last time I was on here. But Monzi and Dylan, new project, second project this year. Permanent prosthetic.
Yep.
It's just if you listen to the Monzi album from earlier this year, they basically improve on fucking everything. Monzi's writing has it's insane in such a short time how far they've gone. The writing is insane. Dylan's beats have gotten so much more layered and like they're really emotive and they contrast. A lot of beats are so light and they contrast very well with Monzi and their like super fucking dark subject matter. Uh they work so much great like it's a lot of it I've experienced is a lot of it's from the School of Woods, which is no surprise because Monty's also a big Woods fan. But yeah, it's fucking incredible album. Monty, Dylan, they're the goats. You should go listen to this album. That's what I'm bumping right now. Best
I listened
song
to it
is
yesterday.
Marley and Me.
Yeah, I listened to it yesterday, and it was like it almost I was thinking about God, what was like our favorite dude from anyway. No, it's almost like punk rock introspection. Like
Mm.
it's really effusive and aggressive in how hard he's going at himself.
Yeah, that's funny you say that because Monty's in that scene a lot. He's a part of that scene. So yeah, the influence from both scenes and how they bring it together is it's really fucking good.
And
It's
Especially in the
really
lyrics,
good.
especially in the lyrics, because Monty is not, for better or for worse, Monty is not scared to go there with you. He is not scared that they are not scared to
yep.
take you to the darkest fucking place imaginable. But also the reason this album is so great because they balance it out. They find a way to balance it out somehow, and that's what makes it so good.
The only comp I could give for what you're about to get into for Monzi the Terrible is like Lamont Manuel.
Yep, that's a great comparison.
To be like
Mm.
you're gonna get to this level of hardcore, like the world is fucked, like So that's be ready for that, So yeah, Slumber. Give me what are you doing? What are you up to? What are you?
I'm trying to. I wasn't prepared for this segment, but
He was drinking
this
some moonshine.
this shut up. Um, this MC from the UK, Robert, he's got this album that Sonny Jim produced.
Yep.
It's called Orange is the New Black. That was 22. Like the depth in that is crazy. The song Becky is the last song on the track, and it's just like, man, yeah, it's
I just found it on Bandcamp. Yeah, it's by
a tearjerker.
name your own
And
price. Yeah. Cool.
yeah, no, that's incredible work. And I don't know. I was just going through random stuff that I've been going back to. Strips by Jay Nice. Anything Silk Money?
Silk Money. By the way, on this Orange is the New Black, Cool Keith is on the first song, dude.
Yeah, and it's weird because it's like I think Robert got out of prison, and that's kind of the. But the first track is yeah. I don't know. It's a nuts album. I keep going back to it. But that song Becky, goddamn. What else? I just peeped this thing on Audible, and it was Yasin Bey,
Yeah.
and it's called A Dynamic Community Communications, and just the like everything Mos Def Yosinbe, like I always gravitate towards, and like he's just such a hero. The way that he speaks and like the gratitude, it's just like reminds you to remember the important things and like stick to your core.
Yeah.
What else?
Yasin Bey has a good future in this thing. I have good feelings about the talent level that you're dealing with on that.
Yeah.
That guy definitely has a classic in him.
Yep.
And I'm reading The Painted Word by Tom Wolfe, which is like about the avant-garde visual arts scene.
That's awesome.
And it's a lot of interesting parallels between that and the current rap climate in certain folds.
No, there's some shit that Tom Wolfe wrote about that I feel like maybe nobody else wrote about. And when I read it, it filled in gaps historically to really help me understand the context of the world. Like, I'll give you an example, like Radical Chic. You remember Radical Chic?
Haven't yet.
It's like it's not a full book. I think it's like a part of it's a thing he wrote about the Black Panthers becoming chic in New York, becoming celebrities in New York. And it kind of gives you that scene of like, yeah, they were being hunted and it was terrible, but they were also the bee's knees for very artsy people. So they walk into dinner parties in leather jackets and they would try and kind of stump for funds from celebrities, you know? Jane Fonda famously gave a ton to the Black Panthers. Yeah, it's like really weird. And like, you're like, oh, I wouldn't have known that had Tom Wolfe dug in on that. Like, it's, yeah. So shout out to Tom Wolfe. Yeah, I'm reading American Gods. I finished Molly's Game by Molly Bloom, which is an excellent book. And I'm reading American Gods by Neil Gaiman. And it's my favorite Neil Gaiman plot. It's so beautiful. It starts with a very kind of singular point of story and then branches out to this giant plot. It's very delicately done. Yeah, I really admire that. And he's not my favorite writer at all. It's just I really like the show, and I was digging in. I'm like, I just love this. I love this plot. It's so brilliant. So for someone who has made their name on plot, that's my favorite of his, I think. Yeah.
Can I recommend one more project?
Do it.
Yes, please.
Everybody should go check out those new Snot Nose Salim EPs.
Thank you. Good job. Good fucking job.
Yeah, thanks, man. Sorry, Snotty.
That shit is fire.
God damn it.
There's like there's not a lot of people. There's not a lot of people who can rap like him, man.
Yeah.
I mean, he's really spitting
Snotty
over
is
like
fucking
wild
crazy.
fucking beats.
And taking risks, like taking risks, and the cohesivity there is nuts. Peace to Snotty. Well,
yeah,
Gavin,
we need to get on the joint.
Verdad, the one you're on with fucking Snotty, that track is so, both of you are out of your fucking minds with both of those verses.
Yeah, that shit was
is incredible.
the first thing. That was the first thing we collabed on. And from like as soon as that song was done, it was like, okay, well, we definitely gonna make a lot more shit.
That's it. Right. I'm trying to get Snotty in the mix more because he's fucking crazy dope.
Crazy dope. Yeah. So yeah, follow follow everybody. Slumber Logic 77 on Twitter. Find TreDoes. I can't really give you the handle.
Yeah.
That's the display name. The handle is TreDoes.
Yeah, Ratman Gavin, follow and subscribe to all this. This is like what State of the Game wants to do is basically I was thinking about that. I don't want to talk to legends every week. I want to mix it up, you know,
Yeah.
not legend hunting, right? So I'm trying to get a mix of people at different stages of their career. And so I always want to be able to give my audience, like, you need to check this now because this person's going up. And all three of you people on this call are going up. And so
Yep.
Thank
check
you,
in,
man. Thank you.
cop up,
Nice, man.
cop up. So
Me,
Man.
Slumber, and Gavin are the greatest love triangle in hip hop.
yep.
We got Slumber working with Gavin, Slumber working with me, eventually me working with Gavin. Once I'm not scared to hop on the track with him. We going fucking crazy. We got a million projects coming out. We're gonna do the trio project. Gavin pulled some strings, got us a Breeze Brewing feature. That shit is fucking crazy. Y'all are gonna hear it. That's
awesome.
coming out
I didn't hear about that.
2026. No, yeah,
He's a
I just found
liar.
out too.
He's a
I just found
liar.
out too. It's crazy.
Jump in, Breeze.
Man,
And I'm telling you, in 10 years, there's going to be.
Breeze, if you're listening,
we love you,
now's the
Breeze.
time.
Love you, Breeze. Absolutely. In 10 years, there's going to be a documentary on the RMPP Discord. I'm telling you.
Oh God, yeah.
We're all going to be sitting in chairs talking about it. It's going to be great.
Oh man. So yeah, shape up, Vic.
Yeah, man, absolutely. I appreciate everybody. Have a good night.
What will tomorrow bring?